Hey YouTube, this is Ian from Big Rock ADV, and today we're going to talk about wind protection and windshields for the BMW R1250GS or R1200GS. So stay tuned and let's get started. So if you watch my other videos on the GS and my review, you know I actually quite like the stock windshield on the GS. So this is the stock windshield that comes on the 2013 to 2020, basically the current 1200 and 1250GS, the non-adventure bikes. So the adventures have a little bit larger and wider of a windshield to go along with their bigger fairing. The reasons I like the stock windshield are that when it's down like this in the low position, I get a nice clean flow of air to my helmet, which is great on hot days or for going off-road, being able to see over it. I really appreciate that. And then when I twist up the windshield like this, that's where it's not perfect for me. It does shake the top of my helmet a little bit. And it does a pretty good job in this position overall. It's probably one of the best motorcycles I've had for wind management and the adjustability. But when it's up in the tall position like this, I'm looking for a little bit more protection on my shoulders and a little less buffeting on my head. So I've been looking into some different options to how to address this. So when I look in the aftermarket windshields for the GS, I actually don't find a lot of good options. I find some things that look really kind of hokey and kind of ridiculous and don't really look like they're styled or designed to go along with this bike. And I just wonder about how much wind testing or wind tunnel some of these manufacturers actually put into those shields. But like I said, I'm looking for a little bit more wind protection. So here's what I've actually purchased. This is a Puig touring windshield. This is maybe the most common option for these GS's. Here's my problem with it though, and I'm not sure that I'm even going to keep it. It's really big. I want to show you guys, and I'll give you guys a close-up here, but this thing is so much larger than the stock windshield. I really don't understand. And I like the styling of it. I like the aerodynamic look. I think it looks like it would be designed pretty well to look good with the bike and have good wind management, but it's just too big. So I'm contemplating right now either cutting this down or sending it back and figuring out something else, or maybe just sticking to the stock windshield. But I'm going to go ahead and put this on and show you guys a comparison of before and after and see if I'm even going to be able to live with this thing. Obviously, if I start cutting it, I'm not going to be able to return it. And this thing was like 130, 140 bucks, so that's kind of a lot of money to throw away. So we're going to find out right now. All right, so here's the stock windshield. This is in the high position. And now let me show you, here's the low position. So to show you the difference, here's if I try to line up exactly this with the where it's going to mount, you can see it's about, gosh, it's got to be 5 inches taller up here. It also has a much wider shape. It flares out at the top, as you can see here on the sides, and is much, much wider. So, you know, I think in the winter or in cold weather, this thing would be awesome. But my problem is it's going to be way too high, even in a low position. So what I'm contemplating is trying to match this curve, which I like, and cutting this thing down by about 2 to 3 inches. I like the extra width at the top. I just don't like how tall it is. So again, that's the low position. Let me show you how it's going to be in the high position. So in the high position, this thing is going to be giving the Goldwing a run for its money in terms of this tall windshield. I'm going to be looking through it, and I hate looking through windshields. So this is going to be just way too big. I do like how it's wider, kind of also at the bottom. And again, I like this width up here, but it's too tall. So I'm going to go ahead and mount it and start playing around with it, and we'll tune back in a minute. So you probably want to know how the windshield goes on and off a GS. It's pretty easy. What you do is there's a bolt that comes in from the rider's position on each side here. And you simply, to take the windshield off, you unbolt those. I'll show you. So what you're doing is you're unbolting it from these two little brass fittings from the back, and then this assembly slides down and pops off. And installation is really just the reverse. Very easy. Good job BMW on that. So what you do is you take off the hardware. What you do is you take off the hardware from the stock windshield, including the little rubber grommets, and you simply transfer it to your replacement shield. This takes about 5 minutes. It's very easy to do. So we'll go ahead and fit this new shield and then see how we go. So to put the new shield on, what you do is simply get this lined up here, and then it slides into these little tabs on the stock brackets, and then the bolts come in again from behind. So, you know, can you ever work on a bike without dropping the bolts on the ground? No. The answer is no. Holy crap, holy. Yeah, I'm looking through the screen about 2 inches below the top. It's way too tall, and if I put it down low, yeah, no, this is, in the low position, this thing is taller than the stock windshield in the high position. It's way too much. Now, the coverage is really good. I like that. Hey, sweetie, do you like Dad's new windshield? Or is it too tall? Cry if you think it's too tall. Okay, well, now she's not going to cry, but... Okay, so we're going to go off for a ride. Look who showed up with the KLR. Anyway, we're going to test out this huge barn door windshield and see if we can make it work. See if it's an option for cutting down, or if I just need to send it back to Revzilla and call it a day. I do like how, you know, it's wide down here, it flares out up here, but I'm thinking maybe that the cut, if I do keep it, would be like maybe at this wide part here, maybe just cut this top off. Because let me show you, when I sit on the bike, this is in the low position, and it's coming up almost to my line of sight, and that's too high. In the low position, it needs to be more like here to give me the airflow I want. So again, I was really looking for something like a couple inches taller than stock, but they don't seem to make anything like that. It seems like you either get like a sport windshield or you get this huge one. So I don't know. I wish there was more options for the GS. Seems kind of weird, but anyway, let's go for a ride and see how it works. It's like a gold wing now. It's like there's no wind.
Probably good if you're gonna go on a tour.
For touring, this would be incredible. I mean, coming 80 down that hill, I didn't even feel like, it felt like I was sitting still. So this is in the low position now. I do look over it, but...
Right now you gotta put it in the high.
Huh?
You gotta put it in the high.
Well, high is just too high. I don't understand why they designed it like this. I mean, that's too high. I'm looking through the shield.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys with RTs that'll set them up that way.
It's too high. You know, the highest position should be about eye level, because that'll still put the wind over your head. So I might keep this for a touring shield, but I still have to cut it down a little bit. Because the other problem is the wind pressure is so high on it that it's hard to adjust it on the highway. Okay, so I went for a ride with the touring screen yesterday, and here's my final thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the shield because I love the wind protection. In the lowest position, this thing has incredible wind protection. I didn't even see the need to raise it up. So for long touring rides, like this summer, I have a big trip planned, like up to Canada and back, mostly on the street. So it's going to be awesome for that and really take the fatigue away on the long days. So kind of in summary, way more protection than the stock shield. It's kind of too tall, but I'm 5'10", 5'11", and in a low position, it's a good position, but I can't really raise it from there because it becomes really kind of too high. The other downside to it is that it's putting there's a lot more wind pressure on it, so it tends to shake a little bit more. Now they do sell like a reinforcement kit, which you can buy, which maybe I'll order and see how that goes. But from the looks of it, that kind of interfered with the on-the-fly adjustability, so I was a little worried about that. But what I've come to find out is that because on the highway with this new shield, there's so much wind pressure that you really can't even raise the shield anymore on the highway on the fly, which is what makes the stock setup so great, is you can just reach down and twist up your shield. You can't do that now because there's too much pressure and the mechanism doesn't have enough force to actually lift it up anymore on the highway. So you have to slow down or come to a stop in order to raise it. So that's kind of sucks. But like I said, for me, I'd probably just run it in the low position that shoots the wind over my head. The wind is off my shoulders. The bugs are off. I can pretty much ride with my visor up and just wearing sunglasses at 70 miles an hour with no earplugs. Now, that's kind of awesome for touring. It really makes it comfortable and nice to not have to wear earplugs and not even really have to put your shield down if it's hot, honestly. Although, for safety reasons, you probably should ride with your shield down, but I tend to ride with it up a lot. So those are my thoughts on the Puig touring shield. I'm going to go ahead and keep it. It takes like 5 minutes to change out on this bike. It's really good design. And so for long street rides, I'm going to put it on. For off-road stuff or local stuff or maybe hotter weather, then I'm going to stick with the stock shield. But it's good to have the option. So I think it was 120 bucks well spent. If you get it, let me know what you think in the comments, and ride safe. We'll see you next time.